welcome to the Mountainside Podcast. Our guest for this episode is Lucas O'Hara. He's the owner and operator of Grizzly Forge located in North Georgia, and he is an outstanding bladesmith that makes one-of-a-kind knives that are functional for your everyday user. I thoroughly enjoyed sitting down and getting to know Lucas. He's an amazing human being and veteran, and he was nice enough to invite us into his shop where I was able to sit down and get to know him as a person. I didn't want to ruin his Christmas, you know. Lucas, what's up, man?
What's up, brother?
Thank you for inviting us into your forge, your shop down here, having us down in Georgia, man. This is a treat, man. I've been looking forward to this since we've been a couple months we've been going back and forth.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, and I happen to be down here for Christmas visiting some family. I wouldn't say close. Few hours away.
Yeah, a couple hours.
I got up and it was dark this morning when I started the drive, but man, what a fucking epic drive coming through the Smoky Mountains.
Oh my God, that is one of my favorite drives. All my family, my mom's whole side is from Asheville and Waynesville, North Carolina, which is just north of Asheville.
Right.
And that drive, I've made it. We especially like coming down through the Nantahala Gorge.
Okay.
Like coming down that way.
That's how I'm thinking. I'm going to go back. I need to talk to you about that.
Oh my God,
after
the gorge is beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the longer way around, like the Blue. Is it Blue Ridge?
Yeah, Blue Ridge Parkway.
Oh, Blue Ridge Parkway. Yep. Okay, cool.
No, it adds on maybe 30 minutes, but it's just not straight highway.
And then you don't have to drive through Atlanta to get here, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because that sucked.
Yeah, no, there's no Atlanta. It is you hop on 575 and go straight up. So it's just I enjoy driving, and I'd rather
good coffee.
It's the best.
Good shit, man. So what's happening down here, man? You're a busy man. You're pumping out knives like crazy. For our listeners that don't know you, you're a knife maker.
I am.
Blacksmith by trade. I mean, that's what you do full time, right?
That's it, full time. I'm incredibly blessed to get to do what I love every day when I wake up.
Yeah, and
it's a pretty.
It shows in your work too, man.
Oh, thank you.
And what a cool shop. I mean, you can't see it here, but there's a 250-pound anvil over here that I'm admiring.
242-pound hay button anvil.
That's awesome. My grandfather actually has a 250, and it actually came off of a family ranch of ours, which is pretty cool. But
I got lucky. I snagged it right before blacksmithing really started blowing up. It was only $5 a pound when I got it, and now it's up to about $7 a pound.
Yeah, man, those things are pricey. It's almost because I'm kind of looking at it. I'm almost thinking I'm just going to buy a brand new one. You know, because I'm not doing it for the antique parts. I'm going to work off it. I know, yeah.
Like the history, because that one's from the 1800s. Right. So, like, I don't know, the history and, like, the old school style. Like, I want a pig anvil next. That's the one with the two horns on either side. They're just such a beautiful anvil.
Yeah, no, those are awesome.
Yeah, but I don't know. It really just depends on I like the history behind it. So I like getting a lot of older tools.
Yeah.
But there are guys who go way further down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. No, I got some tongs and some different stuff, that I've picked up at like garage sales or flea markets or that sort of thing, which are pretty awesome. But I'm a collector of that sort of stuff. And
dude, that's awesome.
It's a hobby for me every once in a while. I wish I could spend more time doing it like you, but I know how much work goes into it. So.
And honestly, like I got super lucky because I was using my GI Bill to go to welding school when I got into blacksmithing. Okay. So I was doing night school. I was in welding school for a year. So I was doing night school, and then I started dabbling and playing around with blacksmithing during the day. So I'd go to school at about 6 o'clock, get out of school at about midnight, come home, sleep, wake up about 6, and then just play with blacksmithing. And then during that year, because you get paid to go to school if you're using your GI Bill. Sure. So that was covering the mortgage and some of the bills, and I was still doing some security work at the time. So had enough money coming in that it gave me that freedom to not rush it. And then it just so happened that right when I was graduating welding school, the business just slowly started taking off. And I was like, well, I really, really like this, so let's kind of see where it goes.
And blacksmithing is not something that can be rushed. For any of our listeners, which many people don't do it. I mean, maybe with Forged in Fire coming out these days and some shows like that, I'm sure it's become more popular, right?
Very much so. I think that's my most asked question.
Is it? Yeah.
Have you been on Forge and Fire? When are you going to go on Forge and Fire?
I
watched this from Forge and Fire.
I'm not a fan of it. I think it's cool. I think it's cool what they're doing. I'm just not a fan of the Hollywood spinoff on
Yeah,
what they're doing.
It's really awesome because it put it on the map. It put blacksmithing out there, and I love anything to do with trades. I'm a massive fan of. So the fact that I can't tell you how many, especially young men and women, reach out to me on Instagram like, I kind of want to think about this, and I love that. Like anything to put the video games, the cell phones, anything down and make something with your hands. So that for me is a massive perk of Forge and Fire. But where the show has gone over the last few years, in my personal opinion, has kind of strayed away from what it was like the first probably 6 seasons.
Maybe I need to go back and watch those.
If
first
you watch
seasons
those
or
first
something.
4 or 5, and my mentors I train under, Mark Hopper and Jessica Collins over at Goat and Hammer here in Atlanta, they won the Master Apprentice episode.
Oh, sweet.
Destroyed the Master and Apprentice episode. But once their episode finished, that season was around like season 6. And then my personal opinion, I think they kind of just ran out of ideas, and now they're just doing absolutely crazy stuff, like making crossbows, and you're going to make a canister Damascus knife out of the front end of a car. And the other thing that's really sad is like, if you don't win, people automatically assume you don't know what you're doing.
You're not good
Where
at it, yeah.
I've seen guys who have more skill than I have in my pinky fail that show, and then they get shit on social media and on the internet saying, oh, they don't know what they're doing. And I'm like, that's a master blacksmith you're talking about. Like that guy, you don't understand what that guy's capable. But you're kind of put in a box, and they also don't let you promote your business.
Really?
Which is like that's the biggest thing why
What's the fucking point then? You know what
I don't know.
mean?
In the beginning it was a little bit more, but they don't use your last name. You have to field strip your shop when they come here, take down everything that has to do with your forge. And even if you win, it's only 10 grand. So after taxes, you're looking at around 6,000.
Yeah, and you're probably filming for at least a couple
3
weeks, right?
It's like 3.5 weeks from what I've been told from a lot of friends that have been on the show.
Yeah,
and
so
for
what's
me,
the trade-off, man?
There is
That's
no
not-
trade-off.
yeah.
And potentially looking like an ass. And
Right.
I don't want to look like an ass.
Well, that's the problem when you get producers and stuff like that involved. They start chopping it up, and they can make it look any way that they want, right?
But it kind of sounds like I'm shitting on the show. But in reality, it is really
Sure.
cool that it's bringing. A lot of guys get salty about it, that it's like, oh, they call the Forge and Fire blacksmith. But for me, I think it's rad because it's getting people out and trying something new, and, making something with their hands, which
Sure.
I'm all about. Especially college doesn't really mean shit nowadays. It's all about the trades. And like welding school, I got out of I never got a welding job after I graduated because luckily this kind of took off. But I mean, I that was a 1-year school for $16,000, and the minimum job I was offered when I got out started at $35 an hour. So I've got friends who graduated Georgia Tech who can barely get a job paying $20
They're working
an
at
hour.
Starbucks, right?
And
Yeah, or
the
something.
debt they
Yeah.
have is
Oh,
just
God.
through the roof. Like they're still,
insane.
working at nightclubs and stuff in Atlanta because the money's better there. And then you can go to 1 year of trade school and walk out and make a shit ton of money. And that's not even talking about a traveling welder. Like I got an offer for a Vegas job last year that was $65 an hour.
Yeah.
Just to go out there and weld for 6 months. And man, I'm telling everybody, like, unless there's something you really want to do in college, like you want to be a doctor or lawyer or something along those lines. But if it's just for shits and giggles, go to a trade school.
And that's
make
what's so
some
rad
real
about
money.
this, man, is it's a craft that you're doing with your hands, and you can only do with your hands. Maybe a power hammer, right?
Yeah.
But literally, you are trying to shape a piece of metal with a hammer and make it functional into a tool or something like that. And I think what intrigues me the most about it is maybe the history, right? Mm-hmm. Because back in the day, I mean, blacksmiths, they made nails. So every nail that held a house together, probably 1920 or something like that, right? Was probably not a manufactured nail. It was made at a blacksmith shop.
Exactly.
Your horseshoes, any sort of tool, screwdrivers, hammers, and it's crazy. And the craftsmanship, and you can see the different skill levels too when you go when you start digging into those antiques and you start looking at, what it takes to shape a piece of metal, and to even go further back than that, they won wars, man.
Yeah.
Like whoever had the sharpest sword or the best, skills at making weapons of war
That's where it really, if you had a good blacksmith or a good tool, then
they were the rock stars of the medieval times, right? You would think.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, especially and especially something I'm trying to get better at. When when I did my first class, how this all started is I took a railroad spike class at Goat and Hammer. It was like $120. You go in, you start with a railroad spike, make a little knife, and I was having a really hard time when I got out of the military and finished contracting, like finding that niche, like finding what I wanted to do. Because I really had no idea. I think I had 32 jobs in 2 years.
Wow.
Never
can
was.
we dial it back a little bit?
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
talk about your history. I know you spent a lot of time in the Army.
Mm-hmm.
I think you were plus 10 years or something like that.
Yeah, so
right?
8 years active. And then I did another 2.5, 3 years contracting.
Okay.
And then bodyguarding off and on for 6 years.
But you grew up here in Georgia, right?
Born and raised.
Okay.
Actually, 10 miles from here, which
Really?
is really
That's
weird.
awesome.
Yeah. Joined the Army to travel the world, and I was stuck here in Georgia the whole time. Spent 2 years in D.C., but everything was right here at old Fort Benning.
Nice. And what made you make that jump into the military? Were you just not sure what you wanted to do, or is that something that ran in family history? Or
No, my grandfather was a major general in the Air Force, but that really was the only bit of military. For me, it was just to get out of my house. So I'm one of 6 kids. Was raised incredibly sheltered. Homeschooled my entire life. I still have my faith 100%, but the way I was raised was not 100% right. Faith was very, very forced down your throats. Everything I did was going to send me to hell. I couldn't listen to any music. Like, I couldn't even listen to Christian music if it had like an electric guitar or anything like that in it.
Really?
Yeah. I'll never forget. One of the first things I ever stole was a DC Talk album called Jesus Freak. And it was a Christian CD, but I couldn't get it because it had rap music in it. So I was raised incredibly sheltered. And then in 2001, my father was killed by a drunk driver, 2.5 miles from our house. It was a pretty intense moment in my life and definitely altered my entire
how old were you when that happened?
2001. So I want to say around 13. So I was at that very pivotal moment, and my father was a master woodworker.
Where you kind of go left or right or down the middle or whatever you're gonna do.
And my dad was a master electrician and a master woodworker, so he did his woodworking on the side and then electrician for his life. And we weren't anything fancy. We had a tiny little house. I didn't even have my own bedroom until I picked up corporal in the Army. Was the first time I had my first private bedroom. So shared a room with my 3 brothers. My 3 sisters had a room. Like I said, was homeschooled. And for me, when my father passed away, my mom kind of went on like a downward spiral. She had some mental health issues and some stuff like that. And my dad was really the one that kind of held the family together. And I was the last person to be homeschooled. I need structure. Like, even the way I run my life now is very structured. Time limits, what time I wake up. If I have a schedule, I thrive. Or if I've got to get this done today, this, make it happen, I'll get it done. But if I don't have guidance, especially at that age, I think my education kind of stopped at 7th grade. Because it's like, oh, here's your weekly school planner, get it done. And my answer book is right next to all my school books. So I'd blast through all my school for the week in 2 or 3 hours and then go fuck off and hang out with friends the rest of the time.
Right.
So I really didn't have an education, and I started clashing with my mom a lot. Nothing too crazy, just I was a disrespectful little shit.
I think everybody is at that age, though.
And just very lost.
Yeah.
And then at 17, I was like, fuck this, I want to get out. I'm going to be a sheriff. And then I found out that I had to be 18, and then I wasn't allowed to carry a gun or do anything until 21. I would just work in the jails. And I was like, well, I really don't want to do that. And I was like, well, let's check out the military. Went over to the recruiter, and at the time, for those of you who don't know, I'm 6'7", like 6'7" and a half. And at the time, I was a beanpole. I joined the Army at 6'7", 145 pounds.
Holy shit, yeah.
Yeah, so I had to gain 20 pounds in basic before I was even allowed to graduate. So decided I wanted
iron.
Yeah, decided I wanted to go in the military. Went in, filled out all the paperwork at 17, and then I got mono, which was, I had a really bad case of mono. Lost even more weight. I was sick for about 6 months. Didn't get to go to basic at that time. And then in 2006, when I was 18, I went ahead and shipped off to basic. And then just more or less I just wanted to get away and feel like I was doing my own thing and to break out of that shell.
Plus to get that structure. I mean, there's no other place where you can get structure than
and
the
it was
Army.
really good for me because a lot of people in homeschooling really took off at that time in like the early 90s. Like my older brother, who's 10 years older than me, he was literally a genius. And he thrived in that world really, really well. And a lot of other homeschoolers were doing really well, but it was really it was very culty at the time. And I knew that I just wanted to have my own identity. And a lot of guys that come out of that kind of crash and burn and try everything at once. They just go off the deep end. And for me, the military was really awesome because it gave me, especially when everyone found out about my past and where I came from in life, oh, you've never done this, you've never drank, you've never smoked, you've never had sex, you've never, I mean, I was a virgin until I was 19 years old. You know, I hadn't done anything. So to
sure
try,
they love showing you the ropes, huh?
dude, it was rough. It was rough. I want to say it was fun.
Yeah.
Some of it was kind of rough, but it was really cool because I had that structure to try these new things, but the Army to kind of reel me back in. So it didn't get too crazy. It wasn't that Rob Springer, like I get to go crazy. It was just a very controlled time to kind of figure out who I was.
Figure out life, yeah.
And the first few years in the military for me were pretty rough because I just wanted to fit in. I knew I was very different from everyone. I didn't understand a lot of the jokes. I didn't understand what a lot of people talked about. And I don't want to say I was picked on, but I was fucked with a lot just because of how innocent I was. And it was looking now, I would have fucked with me.
Right.
Like it was kind of weird, you know, those first few years, but I definitely found because it was stuff you're supposed to figure out when you're 13.
Right.
And I was figuring out overseas. So it was a pretty wild experience, but definitely one of the safest and best places I could have gone. And I owe a lot of where I'm at today because of that.
Awesome. Where were you? I mean, what was your position in the Army? Were you an engineer?
So I was infantry. I went in as infantry, and then in 2010, I got my Bravo 4, so I was a sniper for most of my time in the Army.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. I was a sniper for probably 6 years out of 8.
Okay.
So, and then I was in a sniper section the rest of that time.
So did you spend any time in the Middle East or see action?
Yeah. So was Iraq twice, Kuwait once, and then Iraq a couple more times contracting once I got out of the military.
Okay.
But in the military, only 3 deployments.
And then what made you move into blacksmithing? Like, obviously you got out of the Army at that point.
Yeah,
and
so
kind of needed something to do, or is that?
So got out of the Army, and then that's when all the jobs started. Federal police officer first, didn't enjoy that. And it wasn't that I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy the people I worked with. Very, very high standards
That's
of how I
huge
work.
these days, isn't it? I mean,
very high standards of how I work. And it's not that I don't get along with people, but if you don't work the way I work or put in the amount of effort into your job that I do, it doesn't really clash too well. So I think that was the biggest issue I was having, was just trying to find somewhere I fit, because everyone who was like me and had my sense of humor and essentially was just like me was no longer around. So it was a very, very lonely. The things I said, joked about, the things I was okay with, stuff like that, a lot of people weren't okay. So just trying to find that tribe, I guess. I know that's such a stupid word, but it really is a thing. So
I think that's what makes or breaks a job for me, is literally the people I'm around. I come from a rock and roll background, and it's very much that military mindset, but a little bit more fucked up even, you know what I mean? As far as the joking goes and hazing and that sort of thing. And then, you know, it's kind of that firefighter mentality or brotherhood, you know?
Yeah. Oh, firefighter is the best example. Like,
yeah.
I think especially those guys, because what they have to deal with and see on a daily basis, the humor is right on par, because a lot of us deal with a lot of shit we go through by really dark humor, and it's just trying to find a positive light, or just even something to laugh at when everything else is kind of crashing and burning around you.
100%, man.
But just so for me, it was just trying to find a spot. And I mean, literally everything from working security in jewelry stores, bodyguarding, bouncing at nightclubs, I was a car booter for 2 years, year and a half. Like, it was all over the place. But I got into security in Atlanta literally as $60 an hour door guy checking IDs. and then worked my way up. And I was in the Atlanta nightlife off and on because I'd contract, come home, work. Whenever I was home, that's what I was doing. And then when I was overseas, obviously I was doing that. But got into the nightlife very quickly, moved up through that. One of my best friends is a very affluent bodyguard here in Atlanta, brought me in under his, and then just started networking, shaking hands, meeting people. And then that was like my biggest source of income, was working security. And then once my name got out there, working with some pretty awesome clients. And I had 4 or 5 clients that were my main people that I traveled and worked with. But yeah, it was a roller coaster trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do.
I'll bet. And what made you pick up the blacksmith hammer?
Like I said, it was me just going down a YouTube rabbit hole, and just one night stumbled on some videos on blacksmithing and was like, oh, that's rad. And then did some Googling, found Goat and Hammer, and I was like, fuck, I really want to go give this a try. Paid the $125, went up and did the class, and then they couldn't get rid of me since. Like, I'm not kidding. I was buying every class they put out. And I mean small stuff, because I believe in learning the fundamentals first. Sure. A lot of people are like, ooh, I want to be a blacksmith. I'm going to make a katana. You can't just jump there. And I'm not saying you can't, but you normally don't want to go straight on in. Like, you want to learn the basics.
Like Damascus is a big thing, right? These days.
And everyone's like, oh, I got to learn how to do that. It's like, I forged my first hammer. I forged my tongs. I forged my press. My punches. Like, I went and took all those classes learning the fundamentals, learning how to move the steel, learning what I need to do, and then slowly started adding on to that. And man, I can't put into words how blessed I am to have such awesome teachers. Like Mark and Jess really took a liking to me, and they're like, well, fuck, this guy's not going to go away. And, stop charging me for classes, because I'm not kidding. Like, every single thing I sold or any extra money I had, I was dumping right back into classes. And then finally, I just started helping around the shop, sweeping, doing stuff for that. And, Mark really took me under his wing, and it just fucking took off. And I just fell in love with it, man. Like, blacksmithing for me I have a really wild mind. It's all over the place. I'm not ADD. I'm definitely ADHD. Was diagnosed with that when I was young. Never took an Adderall a day in my life. I feel like if I took anything for it, it maybe would.
And that's good too, man, because so many kids get pigeonholed into that,
And for some people, I definitely think it's a good thing and it works for them. But for me, I'm afraid it'll fuck my brain up. And I've just kind of learned how to live with it. And I'm all over the place all the time. Especially, it's a pretty decent TBI. I've had 9 concussions, and not all from the military. I played rugby for a while. And definitely got some concussions from that, and then a few in the military. But so I already have issues remembering things, like bad. Like, I carry a little notebook and pen with me everywhere, and if I need to remember something, I have to write it down right then, or I'll probably forget. But blacksmithing, when I'm working, it's like tunnel vision. Everything kind of like zooms in, and it's just like, that's all I focus on. And when I'm doing really well and you're seeing me pumping out knives in the shop and you're like, man, this dude's killing it, guarantee everything else in my life is falling apart. Right. Because I'm so tunnel vision, in. But it's one of the only things that does that for me. That and driving. Like, I'm at the most peace when I'm driving, because I can't do anything else but go from point A to point B. Sure. It's my time to kind of just take a deep breath, breathe, and just think. Listen to my podcast, listen to music. And for me, blacksmithing's the same way. So it's really therapeutic for me. And just, it's high intensity. It's moving. Like, I don't do well when things are
It's calm. Almost it's a borderline workout for sure.
Yeah. And you have to be very aware, like, what's hot, what's not hot, what am I doing?
Don't accidentally grab the wrong thing, because you will end up fucked up.
Exactly. Yeah. Or, if I hit this too, like, you have to be focused. Yeah. Even to where I schedule my days, the things that are the most, what's the word I'm looking for? The things that... there's a meticulous. The most meticulous part I do in the morning. Sharpening, anything forging, that's all in the morning.
You don't want to be doing that shit when you're tired.
Exactly, because that's where I've learned I make the most mistakes. So the evenings will be Kydex sheaths, hand sanding handles, stuff that's not, if I do one thing wrong, I just fucked up the whole thing. So meticulous in the morning, easier in the evening. But blacksmithing's the only thing that kind of caught my attention and held it. I'm really bad about going all in on everything. Like
Sure.
we could talk about, let's say we're talking about like, oh, I want to start doing videos. Like I want to get into videography. I'm the guy that'll go out and drop $4,000 tomorrow, buy the best of everything, and just be like, I'm all in. Let's do it. And then 3 weeks later, I'm like, that
sucks,
really
yeah.
wasn't. And man, my wife and my friends will tell you, I'm bad about that.
Right.
Like they're like, well, there was this and there was that and there was that and there was that. And I got made fun of it a lot for just, oh, well, what are you doing? What's Luke doing this week? But then this happened under that same mentality, but this one stuck. And now that was 3 years ago.
And I think it's great for anybody to find something like that. Like there's certain things that I do, and I do them very disciplined and repetitive, and I try to do them every day just to clear my mind, right? Because I think I would compare it to like riding a dirt bike, right? When you're on a dirt bike and you're on a track or a technical spot that you're going through, you can't think about anything else. It's very much like driving, right? Like there's shit coming at you in different directions. You got to be aware, you know? And archery is another big one for me, but I never really thought about it
played with that yet.
Really?
Oh, you see, archery, because of what I just said about my addictive personality, like can't touch archery yet.
But I mean, you could shoot in here. You got room in the shop, you know, like just throw a few arrows and it might.
I just
give
know
you
I'm going to become obsessed.
Yeah.
I'm going to start playing with
It's an
archery this
obsession for
fall.
sure.
This fall is when, because I just started getting into fly fishing. So that's
Awesome.
that's my obsession right now.
Well, come out to Colorado, man. Come hang out for
that'll
a couple
be-
days. And
Dude, we hope one day to get out west.
We'll do it all.
Dude, that'd be sick.
Yeah, no, so I have those little things, you know, and I urge anybody, just find something like that totally you can't think about anything else. And it's almost like meditation, man. Like,
no,
I'm not much of one to go sit down and meditate in the morning. I don't have time for that shit, right? But
dude, and that's the same. The significant other, like if I'm having a bad day or she tells I'm super stressed about something, go down the shop, go hang out in the shop for a while, go work. 30 minutes later, I'm better again. Like it's just when I'm down here, nothing else matters, and I'm just doing what I love. And the fact that I get to make money at that. Man, get the fuck out of here. Like, that's so sick. Like,
and what you're making is incredible, man.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, you guys got to go check out Grizzly Forge Instagram. It's incredible. It's beautiful works of art, man.
Be patient with me.
Yeah.
Like it's just remember, it's just me that does all of this.
And the best part about that is every knife that you put out or tool or whatever you're making is one of a kind, right? Yeah. Like it's not a stamped piece of metal that you're just walking over to the grinder and putting an edge on or something like that. You're literally forging every knife, making every handle, making every sheath that it goes in, you know? And
and I don't, for the record, I don't fully forge. So I'm not taking, let's say, a round stock, leaf spring, something like that, and forging out every single blade.
Sure.
I grind in my tips. I do some handle work on the grinder. If I was to fully forged every single knife, there's no way I'd be able to make a living where I'm at right now. And it would just be so time consuming. And I have to charge a lot more because of the time that goes into it. Already my average week is about 75 hours a week is normally what I work. I work 6 days a week, normally 12 hours a day.
You must love it then.
Oh, I absolutely love it.
You're your own boss, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like somebody's breathing down your neck like, hey, you got to go do this.
The most important thing to me is just like my family. So I get to hang out with my family. I get to work and, you know, it goes from there.
And you can maximize your time, right? Because your shop is in the lower half of your house.
Yep.
So it's like literally.
And one day I'd like to have an actual, a real shop.
Sure.
And we're working on that, but it'd still be rad if it was like on my property.
This is a great space though, man.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
No, it works. This is shop number 2. So hopefully number 3. I've already got a power hammer and a press paid off, and I'm just waiting to see wherever we end up for real before I get that delivered, and that'll open up a whole nother doors.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Power hammers are sweet.
Dude, I'm excited. I really want to get into tomahawks and axes.
I was going to ask you about that. What all do you make at Grizzly Forge?
Right now, mainly just knives, man. Like we do knives. I do a lot of little bitty side projects that interest me. To be honest, I only make what I enjoy. I don't do any big batches. I don't do unless it's for Black Rifle. I have an amazing working partnership with those guys.
Hey, shout out to Black Rifle Coffee, man. This is some good ass coffee.
It's some of the best.
Tastes good.
It is absolutely amazing. Oh, absolutely. But I do some big batches with them just because we have an amazing working relationship. I just did 350 bag openers for them and a few other stuff. But when it comes down to what Grizzly Forge does, it's only what I want to make. Like I turn down custom orders daily, And not because I'm too good for it or anything. It's that I think the reason this is doing so well is because there's truly a passion behind it. When I first started, like you have to do when you first start, almost everything is custom because you're just trying to make money to stay alive. So I was doing some of the craziest looking knives you've ever seen, gas station knives. People were sending me photos. Hey, I like this style. Could you make something close? And just to stay alive, that's what I was doing. And I hated it very, very quickly. I felt that the passion and the love and I hate saying artistic, but the artistic, where it was going, like following the steel, like, ooh, I like where this is going. I'm going to chase it.
Sure.
I lost that because I couldn't do that. And then when I broke my back, it was a great time to take that step back. I canceled all my custom orders. And when I came back, I started only doing what I wanted to do.
Man, let's talk about that because that was just last year, right? That happened to you?
I think it was, I want to say it was end of March when I broke my back.
Yeah, it was right around the time I found out about you and started following you on Instagram. And so I kind of followed you through that too, man. And that was crazy. What ended up happening?
I dropped a 1,000-pound gun safe on top of me.
No shit.
Was helping one of my best friends out. We were moving a gun safe. We were loading it up on a trailer. We had 4 guys. And being the biggest, I was at the back, like holding on to the dolly we were using. We were using a really nice dolly, wrap straps around it, whole 9 yards. We even did a test run in the garage to make sure that the weight felt good, all that. Everything was going great. Popped up over the lip of the trailer, and then we were going up it. And the gentleman who was on the back, who we were buying the safe from, instead of pushing from the base of it, he pushed up top of it. So when he pushed up top, it kind of took that pivot point, bent it down, and so it went from like 80 pounds to 1,000 pounds.
As soon as you hit that counterweight,
and because of where my feet were on the ramp, I couldn't shuffle my feet out because I was at an incline. So once that happened, that 1,000 pounds just came forward. I went straight back. My legs buckled out from under me, and the safe landed onto me maybe 2 inches below my nipples is where it stopped. And the only thing that saved me is because of the bounce on the ramp of the trailer. The dolly we were using had cast iron, like inch and a half cast iron handles. Those handles split my leg. Missed my nuts, I'm not kidding, by about half an inch. Shit. Split my leg, and the safe kind of bounced. And I had so much adrenaline going, I got under the left-hand side. And the 2 guys on the left side had the wherewithal to push. And I was able to come up. And I mean, this whole thing happened in about 3 seconds.
Wow.
Lifted up, they pushed. I was able to roll out from under it. And then that was all she wrote. Like, I knew something was super messed up.
So were you paralyzed for
I could. Well, I didn't move for about 3 minutes because I knew. And I've injured a lot of stuff, but never my back.
Sure.
But it literally, I felt, it's almost just like it popped. Like everything just stopped and I went limp. I knew I could move my toes and my feet, so I knew that was a really good thing. Actually, the guy I started bodyguarding with, Brian, called Big Brian, and he is a monster of a human. 325, 330 pounds, my height, brick shit house. He's broken his back a few times because he's a very heavy lifter. So I called him very quickly. It was just like, Brian, I think I just broke my back. And he taught me through it. He was like, all right, you need to get to the hospital. So they were able to get me up, load me in my buddy's truck, and I was like coming in and out of consciousness just because I have never felt pain like that. And the adrenaline hadn't completely worn off yet. By the time we got to the hospital, I don't remember getting to the hospital. Don't remember getting to the hospital. Don't remember getting rushed in.
No ambulance ride, huh?
No. Yeah. Like it was so fast, and I'm kind of like a stubborn ass. Right. I didn't think it was that bad. But because of how heavy it was and my stomach was already starting to bruise so badly, we went
internal bleeding or something.
And we went to one of Brian. He had right local to where we were in Georgia. His back specialist was right down the road. So we actually went there first. And then he was like, get to the hospital. So went straight to the hospital. And this was week 2 of COVID. So like
shit.
Like it had just like really.
So it happened this year.
Yeah. So so it was March. I want to say it was March. So
and you're feeling all right now? Like
yeah, I wear a back brace when I work. I have a really, really nice back brace, which is somewhere here in the shop. But I wear a back brace anytime I forage, essentially anytime I'm down here. But got to the hospital. They rushed me in. And when I came to, there must have been 15 people around me running IVs, taking my blood because I have AB negative blood. So anytime they pull blood, I know that there might be surgery because they normally have to fly my blood type in. So I was like really nervous, and I came to and I was like, what's going on? And they were afraid I had ruptured everything in my stomach. So they were prepping me for surgery. Went, did CAT scans, came back out and found out I had no internal bleeding. I had just fractured my spine in 4 places, and I fractured my ankle as well because the safe had landed. Well, you can't see, but the safe landed and my ankle was under it. The ankle was actually the least of.
Damn, dude, you're lucky you're walking, man.
Yeah, I'm lucky to be alive, to be honest.
Yeah.
Everything that could have gone right went right. Yeah, and then after that, I didn't move. I couldn't wipe my own ass. I couldn't get up. I couldn't. And I had just, me and my girl's mom, we had just recently separated. So we did almost a year separation, and then very blessed that we are now back together and better than ever. But I had just moved into the house we're sitting in right now. I'd only been here for 2 weeks. So the first 2 weeks of COVID, the first 2 weeks of being here, nobody wanted to be around anybody because nobody really knew what COVID was or how serious this was.
It was so weird at the beginning, man.
And I had just been to a hospital, so nobody wanted to be around me because they assumed that I would get COVID. So I just moved in by myself to a brand new house, and then I broke my back. So, and being somebody who's not very good at asking for help, that was a really rough 2 months. And thank God I'm blessed with some of the best friends on the face of the planet. I mean, my best friend Ryan, he came almost every day. Checked up on me, walked me to the bathroom. People were bringing food. Literally had a card table set up at the front of my staircase, had a note on the front door. So when I ordered Uber Eats, just said, hey, I broke my back. I promise I'll put a mask on. Can you at least bring the food up and put it up there? Because I couldn't get to the front door.
Yeah, walking up or downstairs was probably near impossible.
And the girl's mom, she was bringing the girls by every other day, checking in on me. Because even though we separated at that time, we had an unbelievable relationship. So she was still checking up on me, and it was it was a lot. Doctors told me I wouldn't be able to really walk for about 6 months, wouldn't be working for a year, and I was back.
So what was the stepping stones to get back into here? Because you're doing
I took
70 hours a week now, right?
Yeah, I took it really, really, really slow. Didn't really do anything for 2.5 months. I physically couldn't. Just laid on my couch, watched TV, didn't touch any of the pain pills or any of the medications the doctor gave me. Did a lot of CBD. I am even though I live in an illegal state, I'm very pro marijuana. That's a whole thing. That's a whole nother topic. Yeah. It's a whole nother topic we could go down for a long time. But when I'm
pretty sure you could get Pure Spectrum CBD here because it's one of our sponsors.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I was doing close to 1,500 milligrams of CBD a day and close to 100 of THC. When I left the doctor, I was prescribed 42 Percocet, 10 oxycodons, and 40 muscle relaxers.
That shit takes such a toll on your body.
And not even like 12 or 14. Like, it was enough to easily get addicted on. And didn't touch any of it. Like I said, I was just taking edibles, and I had nothing else to do. And I'm not a daily smoker. Like, I smoke right before bed. Man, we could even dive into that too. But I'm just a bedtime smoker, and instead used it for pain. Went 60 days later, went back to get more x-rays because I had so much internal swelling before. They needed clearer shots, and did it at a really, really well-known local hospital here in Atlanta, not like some little tiny doctor's office. And got my x-rays. The doctor came in, closed his door. He said, "Do you mind if I ask you something personal?" And I was like, "Yes, sir, absolutely." And he said, "Do you smoke?" I said, "No, sir, I quit smoking years ago. I was smoking cigarettes for 7 years and quit." And he goes, No. Do you do any kind of like THC or anything?" And I told him what I'd been taking exactly. And he was like, "You have zero inflammation." He goes, "You have no inflammation. You have no," he said, "I'm blown away." He said, "The only time we see," he said, "Did you touch any of your medication we gave you?" I said, "No, sir, I didn't touch any of the pain pills or the muscle relaxers." He said, "The only time we see recoveries like this is when guys don't touch that." He said, "You are months ahead of where you should be."
That's fucking rad, man.
And I'd heard of stuff like that, but I never really like saw it myself. And I mean, the whole way I even got onto it, like I said, I was raised hardcore sheltered. Like, drugs, not even on my radar. Like, Never tried them. And to this day, the only thing I've ever done is smoked weed. And I started smoking about 2.5 years ago, roughly. And because of that, I went to the VA and walked in. I was having issues sleeping, not because of like PTSD or I wasn't digging trenches in my backyard. I'm just a very vivid dreamer. I have been my whole life. And I wake up exhausted every single morning because my dreams are so fucking vivid. And I just wanted something to like dampen it. But
not something to make you lethargic the next day.
No,
you know?
not at all.
That's
and
the
it's
worst. Yeah.
not depressed. Don't have any, I have like the normal amount of like anxiety and stuff like that, but nothing crazy. And within 5 minutes of talking to me, they prescribed me, I don't know the exact number, so I don't want to say it, but it was at least 5 behind the counter medications, antidepressants, Ambien. I can't remember the name of the other sleeping medication, but it was incredibly strong stuff. And we're a week into that, I didn't know who I was anymore.
Yeah.
I got depressed, which I'd never struggled with depression before in my life. And I was just doing what the doctors told me and took everything they told me to take. And I didn't even recognize
And I swear by
myself.
CBD and marijuana for 2 separate things. One is sleep for me, because I have a brain that just constantly keeps running, right?
Yep.
And that's my problem is I'll be laying in bed thinking about everything that I want to do, everything I should have done, everything, it just keeps going, right?
Yep.
And that just helps kind of shut that down and take away a little bit of that anxiety. I wouldn't classify myself as walking around like a nervous person, like I have anxiety all the time. But it's just little things, like even when I'm driving, like no road rage, nothing, just CBD, man. That's where it's at. And I'm not saying you should be smoking a joint rolling down the road, but a lot of the CBD, it doesn't even affect your mental capacity that you're aware of, right? It doesn't make you inebriated.
CBD, not at all.
Yeah, especially if you get a clean CBD product, right, that has no THC, and they're really watching the hemp plants before they mature to that THC level and then extracting it and doing it the right way, man. It's a game changer. And same with inflammation, man. I've beat my body up over the years doing all just stupid shit, recreational stuff, hunting, fishing, riding dirt bikes is a huge one, mountain biking, all the stuff that I like to do can take a toll on your body, especially after you've broken some bones and stuff like that. And man, what a game changer. I stopped taking Advil or ibuprofen.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I touched.
Drug, but I don't need to take that anymore. It's like the CBD, it just kind of curves it all.
And you would have thought that I walked in the VA and said, I think I'm going to kill myself. Like you would have thought that that's what I said with what they gave me. And luckily, again, back to my awesome friend circle, like I had a buddy who literally flushed my pills and was like, nah, you're off this shit. Like, I don't know who you are anymore. So it was after that, it was about a year and was still struggling, didn't really know. And I had a buddy that came over and he's like, hey man, I got a little CBD cartridge. You should give it a try. And I was like, oh, dope. And I was like, I was about to go to sleep, smoked it. Best sleep I had ever had in my life. No dreams, felt amazing. Woke up the next day and I was like,
and you're refreshed.
I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. So he was like, I'll keep it. So I kept it. Month goes by and I was like, hey man, can I get another one of those little CBD carts? He's like, yeah, man, I got you. This time when he dropped it off, it was in its packaging. Very quickly noticed it was 80% THC, 20% CBD.
Right.
I was livid. I was like, what the fuck? I've never smoked a day. I've never done a drug. I can't believe it. And he goes, before you get mad at me, how do you feel? And I was like, well, and you got to realize, like, from the age of 19 till then, I was drinking, I'd say roughly 6 to 12 pack a night, 2 or 3 doubles of liquor. Yeah. I was drinking a lot. And even coming from my background of like, that's what killed my father essentially, is someone who couldn't control their alcohol. And there were 1 or 2 times that I drove that I even shouldn't have drove. And even after that and how much that meant to me, it was something I was having a hard time controlling. When I started smoking that CBD cartridge, quotation marks, when I started smoking that, I quit drinking. I was like, I don't really need to drink anymore. So that whole month I hadn't been drunk once, and I drank maybe 2 beers, and I was like, oh, this is rad. And he goes, okay, so you quit drinking. You're sleeping better than you ever have. You're waking up refreshed. You're not hungover anymore. What's the problem? And for me, like, I'm not set in my ways at all. Yeah. I don't care what you do in your life. I don't care what it is. Like, and I'll listen to either side. I don't care what it is. I'll listen if you bring a good argument. Okay, people who are set in their ways, I think that's a huge problem with America right now, is that everyone is so set in their ways that no one wants to be open to something else. If it works and it's okay, well, then maybe you should do a
I think we're
little
going down
research.
that road. I mean, you're starting to see it come to the federal level finally.
Yeah, and so I was like, wow, you're right. That's a really good argument. I was like, all right, I'll take another cart. And then, again, like I said earlier, if it's something that I'm interested in, I go hardcore. Bro, the next 2 months, if you saw my YouTube search history, I went on a deep dive every night, just going through learning everything I could, watching what it was being done for veterans, and how it made me feel off of my medication was huge. As of this week, I've got 68 guys off of their medications and switched over to THC and CBD now.
That's great.
Their
man.
lives are 1,000 times better. They're not drinking anymore. And there's no problem drinking. Man, shit, you'll still see me.
one or two drinks.
You'll still me drink.
Okay,
but
right?
I have not been drunk in 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And that for me,
I think it takes a way worse toll on your body. I mean, it's been scientifically proven. If you're abusing alcohol as opposed to abusing marijuana or something like that, alcohol exponentially is way worse for your body, your liver. I mean, everything.
Especially when it comes down to veterans and stuff, because the drugs that they put us on to just kind of we don't want to really hear anything else. That's my personal opinion of kind of how it goes down. But it's like, hey, let's just zombify you and stick you over here so we don't have to listen anymore.
Yeah,
and
that's not right.
It blurs and it makes everything so cloudy and so blurred, and you forget who you are. And because of this switch, I'm 10 times better father. My business, I'm a successful business owner. My life is better. I'm not drinking anymore.
And you can talk about it, right? You can have a conversation.
And this is actually the first time I publicly talked about it. Recently, with everything in politics, we definitely don't need to talk about politics, but everything going on in politics, it's come back up. And I'm seeing some hard right veteran guys that I look up to kind of shitting on it. And it's like, man, just put what you're supposed to vote, what you're supposed to believe in, because of stop thinking about that, what you're supposed to do, and actually look into it and see, what is this doing? Man, I've lost so many people to alcohol, either them committing suicide or from them killing themselves or somebody else. Lost my father and 3 friends to drunk driving. 2 because they were the drunk drivers, and then my dad and 1 other because they were killed by drunk drivers.
Yeah.
Man, tell me.
I think everybody knows somebody firsthand that alcohol has seriously affected their life, whether it's been as simple as a DUI or as extreme as death, but everything in the middle, domestic violence, a lot of that stuff.
Alcohol.
Yeah. If you go look at the statistics of domestic violence and how much, I think it's 80% of the cases, and don't quote me on this. Yeah. There's alcohol involved in the situation on either side,
Yeah. And for this, I have yet to see it down. I've never experienced anything that remotely.
Sure. And it's not for everybody.
Agreed, 100%. Yeah. But for me, especially in the veteran community, and for what I use it for me, it is medical. I'm not a God. If you want to get one of my knives, pray to God I don't ever start smoking during the day, because I'm not going to get shit done.
No, you don't want to do that during the day,
Hell
man.
No.
You're going to end up with a burnt hand or some shit.
But when even I was at a Christmas party, this last weekend, and God, it's in the middle of Christmas, and this is my busiest season, and I need to wake up and feel great. And man, I'm 33 now, about 29 years old. If I drink more than 6 beers, I'm kind of screwed the next 2 days.
Yeah.
I don't feel good. I feel like death. And if I'm really drinking, it takes a lot for me to get drunk. And if I'm really drinking, I'm out for minimum 2 days, and I just can't afford that. So
I feel the pain, man. I'm in my 40s,
Yeah.
And I can imagine it only gets worse when you're 50 or something.
And so for me, I could smoke a little bit, go hang out with my friends, talk, be fine. And for me, it's an upper. I hear a lot of people are different, but for me, it's I don't know. It just makes everything better and clearer, and it takes away all that. I don't even want to say anxiety, because I don't feel like I have bad anxiety, but it just takes away a lot of the fog.
Yeah.
And it's oh, I can do this, still have fun. I don't need to get hammered. I can wake up feeling great. And normally it only lasts a couple hours, so I can even drive home and sleep in my own bed. Man, I don't know. I don't want to make this a weed podcast, but it really,
I get what you're saying, man.
It was huge, man. And if we can get it in more and more guys, especially guys who are getting out of the military, because I know federally we'll see.
Sure.
But man,
I have some really close friends that were special forces guys, and I can't really speak on a lot of it, but they've had some traumatic brain injuries and nothing like they got hit in the head or got blown up or anything like that. Literally just from breaking down doors, right? And just that constant to the point where, some of them they don't have full motor skills, right? Yep. And CBD and marijuana both have helped with that tremendously that I know firsthand on two separate people.
Yeah, so full circle back to the back is like, I truly believe that's one of the biggest reasons I'm even able to be moving. Because like I said, 6 months before they said I'd be really walking again, and a year before I could work. And I was lightly working again in 3.5 months.
That's awesome, man. So your work, man, let's talk about that a little bit, because that's the main reason I wanted to come in here and talk to you, man. And I feel like we could go for hours. And I know your schedule is pretty tight right now, especially with the holidays. So I'm not going to keep you too long.
I appreciate it.
But yeah, I want to spend a little bit of time on that. Like, I know you're heavily involved with Black Rifle Coffee. Yep. You make all their coffee bag openers, which are super dope. Little short bladed knife, but perfect for opening a coffee bag, right? But I saw one that you made the other day, and it had like bullets and coffee beans in the handle.
It's a collaboration knife I just did.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. And you guys auctioned that off or something?
Yeah,
for charity,
no, actually it wasn't. So I realize how blessed I am to be gaining the very fast following that I am, and very, very quality. I don't have like a massive Instagram. I don't honestly ever really want to. For me, it's quality over quantity. Like, good people, the people that are following me, what am I doing to bring those people in? Like, I don't want to just become famous on TikTok and have, 200,000 followers that are 13, 14. I'd rather have 13,000 followers of people that are in my community that are actually interested in what I'm doing.
Makes sense.
And I am, thanks to Black Rifle Coffee and a lot of people that I look up to, I've watched how marketing and how social media works, and I like to think that I do a decent job on my Instagram. There are a lot of guys in blacksmithing that are not like that. It's a very introverted kind of work. You kind of work by yourself. You have a shop. You get nice and dark. Like, it's a very trolly kind of job I do.
Sure.
And that comes with a lot of people. It's very intriguing to people who aren't people. But there's some guys that are unbelievable craftsmen that just might not know how to market their stuff. So for me, I'm trying to do a collaboration a month where I find guys, whether I look up to them personally, I look up to their work. Maybe they don't have a good following. Maybe people don't really know who they are. Reach out to those guys, do a collaboration to hopefully use my platform a little bit to promote them and get their work seen so that maybe they can get more to create a community. Not just, this isn't just, ooh, let Luke make his money. Let me get my shit and get out. It's when you work together, when you build a community around yourself, you're unstoppable. And I give that directly to Black Rifle, watching the community that Evan, Matt, Jared, Logan, those guys have built around them. They're unstoppable. And I was like, well,
what an incredible company and what they give back. I mean, can you speak on that a little bit?
We got to pick which road we want to go down, because I could talk about that all day long, what they've done for me, because Grizzly Forge wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for those guys. They've done more for me than I think anyone really should have. They do a lot for their people.
That's awesome.
But I wanted to build that
and they
make
badass fucking coffee, man. It's good.
Yeah, it's all roasted right there. So reached out to two makers that I really looked up to. Gunstone Creation, awesome dude. Tori just went full-time blacksmithing, which is really scary. Going full-time blacksmithing is a terrifying feeling, because now you're saying, I make something good enough that I can make enough money to survive. Terrifying. So he had just made that jump. I saw on his social media that he had, and his personality, the way he talks to the camera, he's a big family man. I was like, I want to do something with this guy. And then Imperial Leatherwork, another dude, awesome, very small following, and one of the best leather workers I've ever seen. Reached out to both these guys, kind of told them what I just told you, and was like, I want to do a collaboration. I'll forge the blade. Tori, you make the handles, and you do the leather. Well, I'll put it up on my site, whatever it sells for, 50-50 down the middle. You guys keep. I'm not even trying to make money off this. I just want to do something rad and promote your work and hopefully get you guys some business rolling into the Christmas season, especially Tori, who just went full time. Dudes thought it was awesome. Reached out to another guy who is an unbelievable photographer, now actually works with Black Rifle, reached out to Josh, and he jumped on as our photographer. So I forged the blade, sent it off to Gunstone. He did the handles, did the leather, went to Josh. He did all the photos. And then, because we did one knife for Black Rifle and one knife for us. So did a full-size blade, and then the handle, we put Black Rifle coffee beans with 5.56 rounds. He did some beautiful spine work on the knife. And then Imperial did a gorgeous leather sheath for it. Sent it back, and we did an auction on it. Hand on the Bible, I thought it might do $1,500. Like, if it did $1,500, I was going to shit myself. Like, because I just wanted to make sure that we made enough money that it made sense. And these guys,
Sure.
to their credit, they just wanted to do the project. They weren't even really worried about the money. But I wanted to make sure that it wasn't a waste of their time, especially on the handles and the leather, because I don't even want to say how much time I had on the blade, but it wasn't that much. So I wanted to make sure they were covered. The knife sold for $6,500.
No shit. That's
Which
awesome.
The auction just took the fuck off. I didn't expect any of it to happen. And I mean, within the first few hours of it going up, we were all losing our minds. And I was like, okay, I don't really know what to do now. Like, let's just, and we're like, we need to add more to it. Like, this is going off too quick. Well, when it finally hit that 6,500 mark, and I didn't even put sniper rules into effect, where if you do auctions, especially on Instagram, some people will wait to that last second to put that bid in and get it at the last moment.
Kind of like an eBay thing or something.
It went from 5,800 to over 7,000 the last 30 seconds.
Wow.
And we are watching this losing our minds because I don't know. I have a hard time with one of my knives selling for that much. And it did. And we split the money 3 ways. And what Tori used it for. And I don't know, it was just so awesome to put good money in those guys' pockets. Grizzly Forge and went ahead and donated 1,000 of that because I wasn't expecting to make any money. So we did Toys for Tots and a couple other really awesome veteran organizations. Awesome, but the story gets even better. There were 3 people that were the main bidders. Find out the woman who won it is actually an active duty Marine in Afghanistan. So she was bidding on this with a 12-hour time difference. It was like late that night for her. So I FaceTimed the top 4 bidders.
Not to mention, we all know what kind of money they make, right?
Exactly.
So to spend $7,000 on a
Exactly.
knife.
So I reached out. I couldn't get a hold of her right off the rip, and I reached out to the other high bidders because I was like, why the fuck are you doing this? Like, I don't understand why you guys are. Do you know me? Like, what's going on? All of them were just like, it's so rad. We just want to give back. This is really cool. It's a beautiful knife. Like, we just want to support this. One guy is a franchisee for Black Rifle. One guy is a incredibly well-known bulldog breeder. And then the other gentleman just remained nameless. But they're all very wealthy gentlemen. They were all very nice. Because, I mean, like I said, it was down to the second. Explained to all of them that the 3 of us agreed she won it. They were very cool about it. Finally get a hold of her, and I text her, and she's like, oh, hey, can we use WhatsApp to talk? I was like, great, I just got scammed. This is some dude out in India or something that just ripped me off. And she's like, well, no, I'm in Afghanistan. And I was like, shut the fuck up. Got a hold of her. She told me her story. And it's even cooler is she is, like I said, she's a Marine, but she's on an Army base. So she's the only Marine on that camp. So very ostracized, very alone over there. And she just said that she had a X amount of money. She'd been following me for a while, wanted to support a veteran business, knew exactly how much she could spend. She went all in. So I did that was pretty emotional for me. That was like,
that's
so
huge.
cool that it was going to somebody like that. And I also knew that the other guys that were in that bidding race would be a little more understanding that they didn't win going to someone like that. So did a whole post. Congratulations. The 3 of us decided Imperial threw in an extra wallet, a hand-carved wallet. Me and Gunstone did extra knives. So did more because we thought it was bigger. And I found out that when she comes back in February, she's East Coast. So I'll be able to drive the knife up to her and meet her and give it to her. Well, one of the gentlemen who is the franchisee for Black Rifle reached out to me about a minute after I made that post and was like, I'm buying her knife. And
shit. He bought it for her.
Bro, I'm not shitting you. I was in my bedroom and I started bawling my eyes out. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah. He was like, pull your shit together. I'm buying her knife. And I was like, why? And he goes, I was never in the military. I want to give back. There's no way I'm letting an active duty Marine buy this. He goes, send me your PayPal. I'm paying for it right now. Send her money back. So I literally, like, I posted the second I got off the phone, went on my back porch and did a video on Instagram, just raw. I've tried to take it down like 1,000 times. Like, I hate that I posted that because like it was so raw, but so many people saw it so fast. I was like,
I think you need to elaborate on the story a little bit more on Instagram because I actually know what post you're talking about now.
Yeah, I just bawling my eyes out on my back porch because it was just, that was what this is all about for me, man. Like all the good that came out of that. Like there's so much negativity going on in the world right now. And I'm not saying that I'm some moto fucking awesome, oh, Luke's doing great. But it's like, it's not hard not to be an asshole. Like it really isn't. And everyone's just a dick nowadays. And any way that I can promote or show any kind of positivity, any way to give back, any way to, it's not
that
just
doesn't
saying,
have to do with
and for
color
me,
of skin or your political beliefs or
it's because you're doing something good.
Right.
Like it's not just like I'm like, oh, hey, life's great. You're going to do good. It's like you did something awesome. I want to highlight that. How do I, because people, it's so hard for people to tell somebody else they did a good job. Like if you actually did something that deserves that credit, I want to be the one to give it to you. Like it's not just, oh, you were supposed to do that, or
well, and that's,
that's
one of the
job.
main reasons I wanted to come talk to you today, man. Just because of that mentality and that mindset. And we're trying to build a community as well here, on the Mountainside Podcast. So and
to see the good that came out of that and just what he did and everyone, how many people it touched out of that. And when I told her, and then this girl, she goes around and is like, well, I still want to donate the money. That was the whole point. And then I'm like, really? Oh my God, will y'all just stop? Why is everyone being so awesome?
Right.
And I told her, I was like, just keep it. Please enjoy this. Let him do this for you. Let's just, if you want to donate it, I can hook you up with some really awesome nonprofits.
Sure.
But just let this happen because this is all, and especially being a veteran, like I love my vets just like I never served. Like she's overseas right now, not with her family during Christmas. I know what that's like, especially being ostracized on another base without like all your battle buddies. Can't imagine what that would be like.
Yeah.
So it was just, I don't know how I'm going to top it. I don't think I can ever do another collaboration just because like it touched so many people and it did so well that, yeah, man, I mean, that's kind of, I want to do way more of that kind of shit and just give back as much as I can and just make it no matter who tries to silence us, no matter who tries to shut it down. Instagram hates blades, it's a deadly weapon, blah, blah. But if you build a community, nobody can shut you up. Like if you build a tribe, it's not just you anymore. It's everywhere you look. I want Grizzly Forge to be everywhere, whether it's off-roading, overlanding, blacksmithing, coffee, whatever it is, you can't silence it. And if there's a positive message in that, get the fuck out of here, man.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Let's go. Like, I don't know. I get hype about it.
That's awesome, man. I think that's a great thing, and I'm glad that you're bringing that to light and that you're sharing it with other people.
I appreciate it.
And not only that, I mean, sharing what success you have with other craftsmen, I think it's an awesome idea, and it's all about building a community. I think people get caught up in their own life sometimes, and it's just that tunnel vision that we were talking about, like when you're forging or something, but instead they're just thinking about, how can I get ahead? What can I do?
Who can I step on?
What do I look
like,
right? Especially now with social media. And, I think that if you just take a couple steps back and look at it from that perspective, is you're only as strong as the people holding you up. And I think that that's where that military mindset or that brotherhood comes in, or, just building a community, man, is huge.
And the more people see that, the more people will realize, like, and it's not just a community for the positive things, like when you have a bad day, when shit's not going right.
Sure.
Having people you can reach out to that understand, or that you did this for them, and now I don't want to say it's like you did this, I do this, but it's like a legit relationship.
And it's also raising awareness, just like for certain things, right? Like
no matter what it is.
Yeah, people that watched that Instagram post probably didn't really realize, oh, a veteran bid on this knife. She's active duty, So it's raising awareness across that too. I mean, no matter who won it, that's a pretty cool backstory though that it worked out that way. That's really awesome.
The second you stop caring just about yourself is when the really cool stuff can happen. And watching the success of others, that's pretty rad for me. Like one of my other good buddies, Josh Smith, he just started another knife company. He's the youngest ABS blacksmith ever, like master blacksmith. I think, I don't want to quote this wrong, but he got it when he was a teenager, which is huge. But he just went full time and started Montana Knife Company. And same thing, like when he did his first big launch, I watched so many other knife makers promoting his stuff. And even me, I was done. Like, I'm done for Christmas besides some custom orders I'm working on, but I wasn't going to hit my website anymore. So instead of being like, well, fuck this guy, it's like, oh shit, I'll promote his stuff. Get people, hey, if you want a knife, go check out this rad dude, awesome family guy, handcrafted blades. I would gladly carry one. So it checks all the box. Why not promote his work, and why not put some money on his plate? Like, if you can't get one of my knives, which I'm sure plenty of people will tell you, like, it's kind of hard to get them, which again, super blessed, but I maybe put out 10 knives a week, and they normally sell out in about 30 seconds on my website. So and that's something that's hard for me, as I see people who've been trying for 6-7 months to get one of my knives. Maybe they're not fast enough. Maybe somebody else got it right before they did. If you knew how many messages I got of, it was in my shopping cart. I'm doing my best. So if I can't get you one, let me send you to some guys that maybe you can. Like, maybe you have that hunting trip that you want a custom blade. Maybe you can't get one of mine. Let me give you 7 or 8 guys that you could, that I would proudly carry their blade. And then watching all those other knife makers promote his work, and then vice versa, him promoting their work. It's just where this is going motivates the shit out of me, because it's no longer let me get mine. It's let's all work together and let's all get it. And guess what? You're probably going to make a lot more money, because now we're all sharing clients. We're all sharing collectors. Now you're just building this community. I hate to say it again, community.
No, that's awesome.
It's sick, man, to see where it's going.
No, that's great, man. My hat goes off to you guys, and I think it's an awesome concept. You know, here at the Mountainside Podcast, we're big on outdoors, obviously, right? And the whole reason I started this was I'm seeing a huge influx where I live, and not only where I live, I'm talking about all mountain spaces in general, right? Like, people are going more remote. They don't have to be behind a cubicle now to do their jobs a lot. So people are looking to move out into these spots. And I'm talking about Montana, Wyoming. I mean, everywhere's seen an influx, right? Like, even here in Atlanta has seen a crazy influx. And what are some things that you notice that people could be doing better? You know, you spend time on public lands. You're a hunter, you fly fish, that sort of thing. What are some things that you see around here that people could be doing better
with
to help
better
preserve public lands?
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Just wherever you go, make it look like you weren't there. And even if you see, like, everywhere I go, especially because I'm really big into overlanding, I carry a trash bag with me everywhere. And nothing irks me more. That's honestly the reason I got into overlanding.
That's a badass truck, though, by the way, too,
I'm sitting here pointing at it like, the reason I got into that was because I wanted to get even further away from it. Like, I don't really like being around people, especially right now. And if I can get down those trails nobody else can get, if I can get those places, and even then, trash, beer cans, this, that, take care of it. It's not that hard. Pick your shit up. Don't throw stuff out the window. If you do see something, carry a little trash bag with you. Throw some stuff in it.
Yeah.
Like, this is the one earth we have, and especially right now, I love seeing this influx in the outdoor world. Like, I mean, I just got a new piece in my truck, and it took me 6 months to get here because everything is sold out. Overlanding's blowing up, hiking's blowing up, mountain biking, hunting. Everybody just wants to get outside now.
Oh, it's crazy. You go to like a Sportsman's Warehouse or REI or something like that, and there's nothing on the shelves, man. It's insane.
And a lot of up in this. Like, I've been to every state except North Dakota and Hawaii. My dad, he wasn't into sports. He wasn't into anything but camping. Really? I grew up camping. It's all we did. Those are my fondest memories with my father. And now that I have my 2 daughters, I want to continue that legacy in a different kind of style, but I want to continue that legacy of the outdoors. And now that it's kind of like, hey, don't bring your California bullshit to Texas. You might move here, but the reason you moved here is because it's Texas. Right. Same thing with the outdoors. You want to be in it. You want to be out here with us. Like, a lot of us grew up in this. When you come and play, come and play. I will welcome you with open arms. Don't fuck it up. Like, take care.
That's what I'm concerned
stuff.
about for future generations, and that's why I'm trying to raise some awareness. And I think a lot of it comes down to just education, really, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't think that people are literally going out. I mean, some people do go out there and just chucking their trash outside, you know, and throwing it out the window or whatever. But
or even just something so small like a straw or a cup, or, you know, you're hopping back in your vehicle and something fell out and you're like, oh, it's okay, I'm just going to drive away. Yeah, I didn't throw all my trash out, but just like jump back out, pick it up, put it back in.
Or if you see somebody else's, man, I pick up other people's shit all the time, and it's crazy, you know, especially where we live. But
so I think that would just be the big thing, is like enjoy the outdoors, but just have some respect for it. Like, okay, so when that monolith showed up out west, where was that? I think it was in Utah. You know the one I'm talking about, that big thing that came up?
Piece of metal.
Well, the people that got rid of it, because I'm friends of a friend of the people who actually removed that. And they removed it because once that location leaked, hundreds of people, because I mean, it was a drive through parts of Utah that had never been touched.
Sure.
It was a drive, and they said it had been there for a long time, from what I have heard, before it actually got found. But with the day that it got removed, there were hundreds of cars, people just out walking every direction trying to find this thing, and they were destroying a part of where this monolith was that no one had really ever been out there. So the reason that it got removed by these activists, whatever you want to call them, is trying to preserve where it was. Because so many people wanted that Instagram photo. They wanted that clout. They wanted that, ooh, look, we found it. They didn't give a fuck how they got there. They just cared about getting that Instagram photo. If you're out enjoying the outdoors for yourself, that's what it's about. But if you're just doing this to snag a photo and post it on Instagram, maybe not the best reason to be in the outdoors. And once that got removed, everyone went away. All those hardcore outdoors people, and everyone was just like, oh, okay, well, there's no reason to be out here. I go outside to be away from everything and enjoy that, you know, like to enjoy that, just that peacefulness of being outside. That's why hopefully one day we'll get out west, because like there's no better.
My buddy Mark Montoya always says, you know, it's crowded for the first 2 miles.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Dude, I love that. That's actually a dope. Damn, that's 100% true.
And he's a Colorado native. I mean, his family homesteaded part of southern Colorado and stuff, you know, down around the New Mexico border. Beautiful area. And it's so funny because he's a bow hunter and stuff like that. But he says that all the time. And ever since he said that, it really sticks with me. Because it's so true. As soon as you get past that 2 mile barrier, there's not very many people that go.
That's such a cool. I'm gonna steal that. That's so awesome.
But I mean, I urge people to just put down your phone, leave it. I mean, you can have it with you for an emergency purpose. Like I get that, but put it away. Just enjoy it, man, a little bit. You know, like you don't have to be on a trail with your JBL speaker around your torso blasting music for everybody to hear. You know, you don't
enjoy the birds, enjoy the fire at night, enjoy.
That's part of that connection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
and leave it clean for other people to enjoy too. There's nothing worse than pulling into a camping spot, right? Whether it's designated or not. Yep. And just seeing other people's trash or toilet paper or whatever.
Because you're ruining that experience. Exactly. Instantly, I'm irritated. Now I have to go pick up your shit. And it's like, just enjoy it. Leave it better than it was so that the next person can have that awesome experience. That it might be their first time camping. And if they have a good experience, then guess what? People need to put their fucking phones down.
Yeah.
And just enjoy what's around them. Stop basing your entire life off somebody else on the other end of that screen. Like, you only see the positive. Like, everyone I can't tell you how many people, especially in the circles that I've been blessed to be in this last year, people that I've looked up to that I met and I'm like, ugh, you're a piece of shit. Right. Like, you are not at all who I thought you were. And that's one of the reasons I'm so open and I am exactly who I am, because I want people when they meet me to be the exact same. And it's because I'm living my life. For the most part, I don't really do anything I don't want to do. My family is my everything, so that's who I spend the majority of my time with. I'm very blessed to do a job I love, and it's something anyone really could do. I'm not going to sit here and be like, everyone has to have a job they love every day. Blah, blah. I get that I'm very lucky, but that doesn't mean that aside from work, you can't do what you love. Or stop living through somebody else and actually get out there. I know it looks like I'm on my phone a lot, but I think my screen time's down to an hour and a half a day now from where it was at like 8 hours about 7 or 8 months ago. And it's because I caught myself doing that. Basing, I've got to make this kind of knife because he's doing it.
Right.
Or I've got to buy this because so-and-so did it. Or I have to go there because they just took that picture. The second I stopped caring about that, 2020 has been the best year of my life because for the first time, I finally kind of realized who I am as a person, getting my family back together, re-falling in love with my wife, like realizing the kind of father I want to be and what I want to spend my time on. That was huge.
It's a good reset this year for sure. I think for a lot of people.
And it's because a lot of people I see just sitting there going, "Oh, 2020 suck." Guess what? 2021 is going to suck too. Like it's not like January 1st it flips and that new date makes it better. It's okay. Yeah, it sucks. There's a lot of things to complain about, and I do realize I'm very blessed. But it wasn't like this.
I've seen so much positive stuff, though, too, that's come out of it, like you and my buddies that are creating music, or I started a podcast. But you worked for it. Exactly.
You didn't sit around saying, "Oh, this sucks. I'm going to get that next stimulus check. What am I going to do?
I'm going to go do something I enjoy."
Yeah. What can you do to make your life better? Because nobody is going to do it for you. The government, your friends, family, no one is going to make your life better but yourself. So stop complaining, stop making excuses, and even if it's something as small as going outdoors, make your life a little better.
Don't be afraid. Just go try it, man. If it doesn't work out, guess what? God, you don't have to do it again.
If you knew how many things I failed, like we really could talk for a really long time. Like I have had a very
we'll
rough
do this
life.
again, man. Yeah. We'll definitely do this again because it's been a great podcast, and I know you need to get back to making knives.
Yeah.
But, man, thank you so much, Lucas, man. I want to talk about your truck. You at least got to show me your truck before I leave.
Oh, dude, absolutely, man.
I've been following your posts on that. I'm like, God damn it, I got to up my game on the truck. It's all tactical, and it's ready to go, man.
It's pretty awesome. Rad. A lot of saving. I paid most of it in cash just because I saved for a really long time.
Yeah. But if you're into overlanding or anything like that, you definitely need to follow Grizzly Forge.
I really appreciate
before
it.
You jump off,
of course,
I know you have a website. Can you drop that? Tell people where they can find you on social.
Instagram, Grizzly Forge. Website's The Grizzly Forge because I couldn't get just Grizzly Forge. But yeah, I don't really have anything else but Instagram and the website. Like I said, I try to stay off my phone. No Facebook, no blogs, no Twitter. But
I think you're really good with it, man. Like you and I have conversed. I mean, it might not be super fast, but who can expect that these days?
Yeah, and I'll tell y'all right now, if you try to hit me up on Instagram or send me DMs, I only check 10 a day. And that, again, is staying off my phone.
Yeah.
I'll get there, I promise. I announce all my knife drops on the
you need to get somebody to do that shit for you.
But then it's like, then people aren't talking to me. So a lot of people, I take a lot of feedback. A lot of people would rather wait and actually talk to me than just someone's like, "Oh yeah, cool, got it, Roger, check this out, blah blah blah."
Right.
There's nothing more frustrating than that. And
I at least filter the bullshit because I get just as much bullshit as I get real people, and I try to just pay attention to the real people. Obviously,
exactly.
Right. So I try to be conscious about that and converse. I like to converse with people, man, especially if they're giving me props or even I like criticism, man. Send me your criticism, But yeah, I think that you've been very gracious with your time and especially inviting us in here, right after the holidays and everything. So.
Dude, it was truly a pleasure. I'm a big believer in saying yes.
Yeah.
So I feel it's not worked out for me all the time, but for the most part, it's always been yes. And
well, when you get out to Colorado too, you got to look us up, man. You got to come in the studio and we'll do one there too. It's
Hell
awesome,
yeah.
So.
Well, I can't thank you enough, man. It's truly been a pleasure. I'm honored to be on here.
I love these location ones too, man. It's a lot of fun. So
I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much, Lucas. Appreciate
you,
man. And did we get all your website and everything out?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay,
we're covered.
Cool. And we'll add links to it too. So anybody that's listening to this, go to the show notes. There's going to be direct links to Lucas's Instagram or Grizzly Forge. There'll be direct links to the website. Check that out. We'll throw a direct link to Black Rifle Coffee in there too if you guys want to go get some badass coffee. I'm ready to fucking go, man.
Yeah, get you hype up. I know it.
Between the Kill Cliff that I had this morning and this, I'm ready to go. So
two badass companies right there.
All right. Thanks again, Lucas. And
Thank you, sir.
Everybody, enjoy the rest of your holiday week.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas.